What's up, Attack MMA? I'm your host, Zach Weicker, and today we got a very special guest. He's a professional fighter with a 28-11-1 record. He'll be fighting for the UFC at UFC Fight Night on April 27th. Please welcome Rani Yahya. How you doing today, man?
What's up, guys? Doing good.
Sounds
Hope
good.
everyone is having a great day.
Awesome, man. And before we get into the fight, I kind of like to go over your background. And of course, you have a very credentialed background in Jiu-Jitsu. So when you first got started in that sport, what made you originally fall in love with it?
I started at the age of 11 years old, and I started to get more confident when I was training, starting to feel good. Jiu-Jitsu is a life-changing sport. Right away, I started to compete, and the first time I won a tournament, I decided that I was gonna do that for the rest of my life, and that was back in the 90s. Jiu-Jitsu is still uh, small in Brazil. Only in Brazil there was jiu-jitsu in other countries too, but very, very small. And the main achievement for a jiu-jitsu fighter at that time was to be a jiu-jitsu representative in NHB, which is the old Vale Tudo, the old mixed martial arts. So most of the tournaments were local tournaments, the Worlds, Jiu-Jitsu World Championship was a local tournament, like at the very first one, was very small. If you were world champion at that time, that wouldn't be the main achievement as a jiu-jitsu fighter. The main achievement of a jiu-jitsu fighter was to defend jiu-jitsu in Vale Tudo, the NHB, no holds bar. So that was my dream. That was my goal. When the first time I won a jiu-jitsu tournament, and I decided that I was gonna do that for the rest of my life. I said I wanna defend jiu-jitsu, to defend the flag. So way back in the day, jiu-jitsu was more like a tribe. You used to fight jiu-jitsu to defend your art, defend jiu-jitsu, to defend your gym, to defend your town or whatever. And that's how I got started.
Yeah, that's great, man. And the first time that you did jiu-jitsu, what was your like, how did you feel like walking into the gym, and did you think like this would be something that you do your whole life?
No, actually, I was just trying, I was just trying stuff, I was a kid that my temper, I was a little, uh, uh, my temper used to change a lot, I had to deal with many insecurities, was a kid, and jiu-jitsu was bringing me confidence, was finally a sport that I was doing okay, you know? So, yeah, jiu-jitsu gave me that confidence, which was the most important thing. But MMA uh, is what really gave me the calm and serenity for me for me to be a better person over the day. The self-control you need to have to step in the UFC cage and and perform every time makes me more calm, makes me I feel makes me a better person.
Yeah, I can hear that. And when you first transitioned from jiu-jitsu to MMA, how was that like for you?
Very different, you know. In my first pro fight, okay, and I used to compete in jiu-jitsu, and this fight was was like that was no athletic commission at the time. Was a This fight was so 22 years ago. The sport is still NHB, still Vale Tudo, and I fought a guy like 30 pounds heavy, and I got to the fight. We didn't even know what the rules were. If Because back in the day, you could do many things. You could soccer kick the guy on the ground and stuff. So I didn't even know how long the fight would be, if it was a 15-minute round or how many rounds. The only thing I knew is that I had to go there and submit the guy because the guy was only a striker, you know, and that was what happened. But before the fight, I remember that I had so much adrenaline. I was so scared. Like I cried before the fight. I was very, very insecure, and my coaches was motivating me. No, you have to do this. Is your goal in life. Is important for you. So I did, and the good thing is the guy only knew how to strike. Once we got to the ground, which was very early in the fight, I was able to get him in a choke and win the fight.
That's great, man. And of course, that for you to enhance your skills, right now you train ATT. So how would you describe your experience training there, and what are your relationships like with your coaches and training partners?
Here is definitely the best training in the world. There's so many different people here, so many high level people, styles that is incomparable to any other in many other gyms, many other places, but here is the team is big, there are teams inside the teams, like here you don't have only one Muay Thai coach, one Jiu-Jitsu coach or wrestling coach. You have three or four striking coaches, two or three Jiu-Jitsu coaches, another two or three wrestling coaches. So uh, you can get like a little bit from everything. You make your camp, you know, your partners, your training partners, you get your head coach. You can change from one fight to another. So last camp I train with that guy. So this camp my coach gonna be that guy. And it's a very high level because it's so much diversity here. Everyone is so good. You get a guy that is a very good example. Then the next row next round you go with a guy that is very well conditioned, and then the next round you go from you train with some judo guy from Dagestan that does a totally different thing. Then so you always get surprised, and every day here I learn new things. Every single day here every single day here is different. I learn new things, so I like that very much.
Yeah, that's great. And one of the coaches there is Mike Brown, who the former opponent of yours. So
Mm.
what is that dynamic like between you guys?
Yeah, I actually been training a lot with Mike Brown in this camp. I always like to train with him since I started to do my camps here. And we able to separate. That fight was very early, was long time ago, very career, but was like what 13 years ago. But Mike Brown as a coach, he brought to him the experience that he has as a fighter, that he's a former champion. He's very well rounded, and he's one of the most successful coaches, not only in American top team, but in the world. Everyone that he trains does good in fight. His style for fighting, his experience is large. He has a large experience. So we have a very good relationship. Yes.
That's great. And I know one of your main training partners is the current flyweight champion, Alexander Pantoja. So what is that dynamic between you two like?
I like to train with him very much. I like him very much. He became a champion and he never changed. Simple guy, very fun guy to be around, good energy. Absolutely no ego in training, no zero ego. He wants to do his best in training. We got to roll one time this training camp, but other training camps we already did wrestling together. We roll many times. We did striking together, and it's always a good pace. It's always a good vibe. The guy always does his best in training, and he has his energy competitive, but in a way that he wants to help you too. You feel good training with the guy. That's why he's a champion.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you mentioned a little bit of training camp there, but as a whole, how's your training camp for this fight?
It's very, very good. Right now we're 15 days away from the fight, so we're starting to slow down to recover the body, and uh, training camp is great. Uh, uh, I trained with guys who fought Victor Henry before, trained with a few guys here. Many guys know him, so I train a little bit with these guys. And also, like I said, always focus on learning new things. Uh, and it's always a war here in the gym in a way that make you increase as a person. Every day you go to a training session, you know, you have to be on your best. And you're gonna take the best out of you in the training session. So it's great. It's going great.
That's great. And you mentioned your opponent right there, Victor Henry. So, what are your thoughts on your opponent's fighting style and strengths?
Good cardio, MMA guy, mix it up a lot. Wild striker, he moves a lot. Uh, he has a good front kick. On the ground, I didn't see anything special. His takedown defense, I didn't see anything special too. And even on the striking, he of course he's a striker. He strikes more, but he gives some openings too. He get hits a lot too. So I think he's well-rounded. He's an MMA fighter, but uh, absolutely nothing special about him.
Yeah. And you mentioned his strengths there and you mentioned his weaknesses. And with that in consideration, stylistically, how are you looking at this fight?
Well, I'm ready to do my thing. I'm ready to do. I'm ready to surprise him on the striking aspect of the fight. I'm ready to take him down to the ground and pound, finish him. So wherever the fight goes, I'm ready to do it. For one round, 3 rounds. Uh, I'm ready for all situations.
That's great, man. And of course, with a submission victory in this fight, you'll break the bantamweight record for most submission victories in the division. So, how much would it mean for you to get that record on your name?
Like I said to you, uh, uh, by the way that I started, the motivation from when we started, which was to be a jiu-jitsu representative, that means a lot because both sports evolve. Jiu-jitsu evolved in one direction, BJJ became big in one direction, and Vale Tudo, no holds bar, evolved in a totally different direction. And for you to do that nowadays, to represent an art, nowadays fight for the art means a huge accomplishment for me. So I will do that.
That's great, man. And of course, previously in 2022, you were supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt. So, how disappointing was it for you that you had to pull out of that big fight because of injury?
Yeah, man, that was I went through uh, the worst adversity when talk about pain in the body that I went in my life. Uh, First time the fight was booked and I started to feel uh, the hernia in my neck, it started to feel my arm tickling, losing my strength, and I knew what was about. So because I had that many years before, and I said, okay, cannot do the training camp like that. It takes a while. I'm gonna have to stop and treat, and that's what I did. I stopped and treat. I started to feel good again. Was rescheduled, and I was feeling great, but very ahead on the camp, like 3 weeks before. There was a sequence of events in training. Like one day, the guy tried to catch me in a guillotine. The other day, I forced way too much my neck, my low back, that I got to a situation where I went through a lot of pain, and I had to pull out of the fight. I went to the doctor. The doctor said the doctor put me on corticoid, I think, and pulled me out of the fight. Said, no way you can do this fight. So I mean, for me, it would be the biggest fight of my career because a former champion would be a UFC co-main event. And man, I had to deal with that. And yeah, but I'm okay now. My focus now is Victor Henry. This time passed, April 27 is a new time, a new day.
Yeah. And with having a very severe injury like that, what was the healing and the rehab days like for you?
Yeah, so based on what I said, one of the most surreal things that a mixed martial arts fighter does is to heal an injury while he's in camp. Okay. If it's a small injury, like an injury that you can train, that you still can perform, like 70, 80%, many fight, we all go through that. All fighters go through that. But let's suppose you tore your ACL and it's affecting the way you're walking, or like the injury I have that is affecting your life, your daily life, your lifestyle, your sleep, your everything. Then it's different. You have to pull out of the fight. But it's surreal how you have to spark, cut weight, uh, and still have to keep training. This is why MMA fighters are the toughest athletes in the planet. Okay. Uh, and to heal the injury, the hernia that was affecting me, I really had to stop. I really had to forget about fighting. I had to forget about fight camp. I had to put in my mind that, okay, I'm done. I'm retired this moment and focus in a totally different thing and rehab only and focus on rehab thing. So that's what I did and took me a while, to recover, to come back. And now I feel stronger, way stronger than I was before.
That's great. And you mentioned that you're kind of retired at the moment there, but when you have a really bad injury like that and you've accomplished so much in the sport, what keeps you motivated to keep on fighting?
Many things keep me motivated, man. First is the challenge, you know. I can tell you like 15 things that give me motivation. Is the love that I have for the sport. The, oh, yeah, the passion is still something that I wanna do, you know. I think I feel that I have more goals to achieve in the sport as well. So there are so many things.
That's great. That's really a great way to look at it. And of course, you've been in the UFC for quite a while since 2011. So how would you reflect on your career in the promotion so far?
Well, uh, I mean, I won most of my fights. I submitted most of my wins. As an athlete, as a fighter, as a competitor, is never good enough. I definitely wish I could achieve more. I think I fought on the main card like 3 times maybe, you know. Uh, that's something separate, of course. It's about how you advertise your name, which is a totally different thing. And uh, uh, I didn't, I was not very good in that aspect, you know. Many people, but it's not only for that, you know, that there were performances that I think I could do much better. But it, it's like this, man. I'm also happy to be here, still be here for all these times, and with a positive record, winning and submitting people.
Yeah, can hear you there, but you have been in the UFC for 13 years, and nowadays it's kind of rare to see fighters last in the promotion so long. So, do you pride yourself on the fact that you're able to be in the UFC for that long and have a lengthy run with the promotion?
Say the question again,
Yeah.
please.
So, of course, you've been with the UFC for 13 years, and a lot of times fighters don't last that long with the promotion. It's kind of rare to see a fighter last 13 years with the UFC. So, do you pride yourself on the fact you're able to have this long, lengthy run with the promotion?
Yeah, man, I got two sides. Okay. I have to admit to you that I got two sides. One side of me, I say to myself that I'm proud, say to myself that how tough I am to be here this long, fighting this level, the UFC level. And I have to admit the other side of me, I feel like fighting for me is like some sort of a karma that I have because I'm very passionate about it. I want to fight. And I see guys that has so many fights that they fighted for so long that they already had retired. They open up their own gym. They do good with whatever podcast, or they become a jiu-jitsu instructor. Or and I kind of envy these guys a little bit. They already done that. They're able to do that, you know. But at the end of the day, man, is always comes to what makes your heart uh makes your heart beat, you know. And I still have the competition, the competitive will. So I still gonna do this for a few more years.
That's great. It really is. And of course, you got plenty more fights to come, but you already had 20 with the promotion. So, is there any fight in particular that stands out to you as your favorite?
Oh yeah, the Mike Brown that the fight that you mentioned is one of my favorite fights. Okay, I had a fight, a 3 round fight against Matthew Lopez, which was a very intense fight, very good fight too. He was undefeated at the time, you know. Many people were seeing him as a prospect. Uh, when I faced Johnny Bedford was because the fight had a little beef, a little trash talk. So it was the only fight I was involved that had a trash talk was, and I was able to submit him. But my favorite fights are the fights that I submitted in the first round, you know, which I think was 3 times. Josh Grispi, Henry Briones, and Luke Sanders, you know, because when you win a fight in the first round without take damage is you can call that the perfect fight.
Yeah, definitely had a lot of great performances. And my final question for you is earlier on, you're talking about representing yourself and having your name out there. So, when your career is all said and done in however many years, how do you want to be remembered in the sport?
Um, One of the best jiu-jitsu guys who was in the sport. I'm gonna even say more. Undimensional guy who was able to put the jiu-jitsu in the highest level. When people call me undimensional, of course I don't agree. You cannot be undimensional in this level and do all these fights I did, but I take that as a compliment because because you're doing what if you're doing what you're doing and you're one dimensional, it's because you're doing the thing right. So That's the way I see.
For sure, for sure. Ronnie, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shout out before you head out of here?
I want to say thank you to you. Thank you to everybody who's going to watch. And yeah, man, thank you very much. Great time. You watch this fight, April 27th will be a very good fight.
Of course, I'm really excited for it. Ronnie, it was more than a pleasure having you on. I wish you the best of luck with
Thank you,
your fight.
Zach.
Folks, it'll be all for
Thank
today.
you.
Until next time, peace.